This episode is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. When was the last time you reviewed your insurance policy? So it's been a while, huh? Well, no worries. My friends at the Austin Brummett Agency would love to hear from you and provide you with some amazing rates. Give them a call at 678-402-8262 or email them at abrummett@farmersagent.com. That's ABRUMIT at farmersagent.com, and tell them Harli sent you. Insiders, Inside the Bubble with Harli G is now sponsored by BetterHelp. As a partner of this episode, listeners can access the BetterHelp link located in the show notes to receive 10% off your first month of therapy with BetterHelp and get matched with a therapist who will listen and help. Go to BetterHelp, that is BetterHelp.com/inside the bubble, the link to get started. You're listening to Inside the Bubble with Harli G, the podcast for the superwoman. Every week, we connect with amazing individuals who share their inspirational experiences and stories while motivating and inspiring purpose. It's time to hang your cape. Grab your coffee, your water, your cocktail, and come on in Inside the Bubble with me, your host, Harli G. Welcome, insiders. It is me, Harli G, with Inside the Bubble with Harli G. And I have Paloma with me today. Wow. Anyway, so first of all, your hair is fabulous and your nails actually match your hair. Look at that. Yes. I'm really excited about having a conversation with you today about just you and your experience really coming into the United States and what all challenges that you've had to go through to be where you are today. As I think about this series that I'm actually putting together called Growing Up Immigrant, I know that there's a lot of similarities with individuals that have migrated into the United States, right? Like some of the experiences are the same, meaning I took ESOL. A lot of people who migrated over had to take ESOL, which is actually a course in English. It's you learning English before you're able to be in a regular English class, right? And so I know that we have similar experiences in some aspects, but then there's other aspects of experiences that are very different. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. But first, okay, so you were born and raised in Mexico.
Right.
Okay.
15 years. I lived
15 years in Mexico. How was that? How was your upbringing?
Oh, well, I think that when I think about it is we were actually a whole century behind.
Wow.
So I was raised knowing that I was going to grow up. Hey, at 15, I was already grown. So
wow.
I was going to get married and I was going to have a lot of children and that was going to be my job.
Wow. Okay.
So,
now, those expectations, were they just cultural expectations from your parents, or where did it come from?
Yeah, so that was just all the way around where I lived. It was kind of like a village. But even the others around, anywhere that I went, that's what it was. That was just what it was. Women had children. They were at home. Every year, every 2 years, there was a new baby. And men would go work. Many would migrate to the U.S. to make money. And then go back, have another child, come back, and just continue doing it. That didn't seem like something I wanted to do.
Knowing you and your personality, so Paloma is very... what's the word that I would like to use? I know, right? Choose your words carefully, Harli. Rebellious.
Yes.
in some aspects. You're like,
You know,
yeah, no.
right. No, I was just like, no, that it doesn't work for me.
That's
That's
not what I
not
want for
going to
myself.
work for me.
Right.
I want to work. I want to make my own money. I want to take care of myself. And if I want to have a child, then I will. If I don't want to, I won't. So, yeah, that didn't work for me. So,
So did you express that to your family?
oh yes.
And how did they feel about that?
Oh yeah, they thought I was an alien.
Well, first of all, how many siblings did you have, or do you have?
Oh yeah, so I am right in the middle. I
Okay.
have 7 younger siblings. So I had 7 older siblings.
Wait,
Yes.
what? Okay, I don't have the words right now to express.
Yes.
7 older and
7
7
older,
younger
7 younger. Yes. So
through
we were
one
15.
mother, same
One
mother.
Yes.
Y'all,
And I just,
how?
I have no idea. I still like, I had one
Wow.
child and I was like, I'm done. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know, like,
yes,
my mother,
one
what
child.
were you doing? Yeah. So
That is, y'all, okay, I'm not the best in math, but that's
15.
15 children
Yeah.
out of one person.
Out of one person. Now
Wow.
my dad, he did have other children before.
On top of
So
that.
yeah. So I have
Wow,
some half
okay.
siblings.
Whew, I just need a minute to process that. Okay, all right, we're gonna move on. Okay, so you have, now, as far as like the dynamics between the relationship between you and your sibling, how was that growing up? Was it competitive? Was it, did you all get along? What was that? What was that like?
We were always, it's the culture as well. You are family, and that's the only thing that counts.
Yeah.
You fight, that's fine. You are still family.
Yes.
So we fought. We definitely fought.
I can just imagine who won all those fights. I'm just saying. I'm not judging. Okay. All right. Okay.
But I tried to stay in the background. I tried not to need anything because they needed a lot. So I tried to not ask for much until there was a time that I was like, hey, I need a lot. I do. I want a lot. And then I just decided, well, it is up to me to get all those things. And I was fine with it. I wanted to get it for myself. It didn't go well with them because, hey, you are a woman. You are a girl. Like, you are not a man. So, it's like, well, I want to be a man.
You're like, well, but you were saying that because you felt like, was it because you felt like you can have your independence just as well as a male in that culture?
Yeah,
Got
so
it.
I always questioned that. I wanted to be, and I would say it openly, I want to be a man, but it's because I wanted to be
You wanted
as
to have the
free
same rights
as a man.
Right. Got
So,
it.
yeah, so I think that finally when I turned 15, I knew that I needed to do something. And I actually had a conversation with my parents and told them, I am just going to do what I need to do, but I am going to go to United States.
Okay.
And
So, this is, but a little while ago, I had your husband on the pod, D. Rick, and we had a quick, throughout our conversation, what came up was the level of poverty, right? So here in the United States, we define poverty a certain way. But he said, he was just like, y'all ain't seen poverty over here. Go to Mexico. And so how were the conditions for you growing up?
And that's actually something that I tell them. Where we went, that's where my family lives now. That's not where I grew up.
Wow.
I grew up without electricity.
Wow.
There was absolutely nothing. It was pretty much, just the village. We went to shower, wash our clothes in the river. yeah, there was absolutely nothing. So we didn't have refrigerators. We didn't have anything. So
Wow.
yeah,
So you didn't have. Okay, so what did you guys do to preserve food, or what was that? How was that?
so that didn't really happen. Guess so. If let's say it was beef, you would have to make it like beef jerky to preserve it.
Got it.
So
Got it.
it wasn't you couldn't really preserve much. So
So it was just like you got it, you ate it, and that was it.
and the next day, well, you have to do it all over again.
Wow.
So my husband did not go where I grew up because my family doesn't live there anymore.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay. So he didn't see
he
that
didn't
part.
see that part.
Okay.
Where I
Yes.
grew up, because the part that we went to, they have electricity. They have more of the main necessities, like refrigerators.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing to me because what?
Right. You're like, so like, when did you see, like, when did the condition change from that village to now? Like, you do have electricity, you do have, you know, other means to wash your clothes. Like, when did that happen?
It was when I came to California. I went straight from there to California. And actually, my parents helped me because they knew and they didn't want me to do exactly what I said, anything, just whatever I needed to do. So they actually helped me come to California.
And you were 15 at the time?
Yes.
So at 15, you decided you're going to leave Mexico, come to California.
Hey, I thought I was grown.
You
I
just
think
like, yes.
I actually jumped the border. So it wasn't, we paid a coyote, everything. We crossed, it was the desert. And I think it was like 5 days in when I finally realized, holy hell, I'm not grown. Like, I am a child.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing here?
What was I thinking?
Yeah, so we had no water, no food.
So did you do this by yourself, or were you with someone or people?
It was a group of us. It was 6 people.
6 people. Not were these people your age, or?
No, they were, I think 18.
Okay.
And
So a little bit.
except my brother, he was 2 years older than me.
Okay. Okay.
So, but everyone was older than me.
Okay.
So yeah, we would get a water bottle a day to share with the group of us.
One water bottle.
Yes, to share with 6 people. So that's when I was just like, oh wow, like, and there was absolutely nothing around.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not grown. That's when that's when I realized.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was very different. Come to California, we came to live with another brother, an older brother. He had a little trailer. It was 1 bedroom, little little kitchen. His dryer, his washer were outside because there was no room inside. Wow. So we had to sleep on the little, just the little living room. So we were in the living room for almost a year. And then
So how many people were in there? So in this little, I just want to make sure that I paint the picture accurately. So you're in this little trailer in California of one of your older brothers. And there's how many people living in this little trailer?
It was him, his wife, 2 children.
That's already 4.
His wife's brother. And then my brother and I that had to come to live with them. So there were 3 people in the living room.
Wow. Okay. So you're living with your older brother in his trailer in the living room. What about like working, or was that even an option?
Oh, it was. It had to be.
Okay.
I had to start picking grapes because that was the only option.
There's such a thing?
Over there, you have to go and work the field.
Pure Necessity is a lifestyle service offering career and leadership development, real estate resources, and motivational speaking to jumpstart your legacy building. While I am happy to work with anyone looking to build their legacy, I have a heart and passion for young professionals. Why? Because I've been right where you are, trying to forge my path without clear direction, yet a burning desire to do and have more. If you are ready to position yourself for abundance, visit my website at purenecessity.life. Your legacy is essential.
You cannot get a job at a restaurant, which is what I wanted to do at first. I was like, well, there's a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
No, because I didn't know any English.
Right.
So I couldn't get anything like that. So I had to go work the field. Now that was something that I just said, no, this is not going to work for me.
So how long did you spend working the field?
Well, I still had to. I think it was like 5 months.
Okay.
That I had to work. But yeah, every day I was just like, no, this is not what I want to do.
This is not what I signed up for. Okay, by the way, I did not sign up for this.
Yeah, like when I thought about coming here, it was not to do this.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my goodness. Okay.
It was awful. Working, it is awful there. You work, it doesn't matter how hot it is, how cold it is. You still have to be out there. And there are these umbrellas that you think it is for you. No, you protect the fruit. So,
wow.
So yeah, I'm like, no.
It gives me a whole new different perspective on California grapes now.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
And you have to know how much to put in that bag that you get from the store.
Oh, wow.
So you pick it up and you have to weigh it with your hand. You have to, know, okay, this is what's going to go in here because you cannot put too much in the bag. Okay. So it is hard. That is actually the hardest job I ever had.
Wow.
So,
okay. So you are out there working the field, picking grapes, and like you're doing it for about 5 months, and you're like, this is not for me.
No.
So what happens?
So then I had actually other brothers living here in Roswell. So they went to California to get me.
Okay.
So that's how I got here. It was great. I loved it. When I got here to Georgia. I love Georgia. Much different than California.
What was so attractive about Georgia versus
I didn't
California?
know anyone.
Oh, so for you it was kind of like a new start, a blank slate.
Yes.
Got it. Because you had been with your family this whole entire time, right? Okay.
Right. And so one of the things what I always wanted was go someplace that no one knows me, kind of just start and to say no one helped me. I did this on my own.
You wanted to stand on your own.
I didn't want anyone to see what I'm doing, to ask for anything, nothing. When I get to California, all my family's there.
Right.
And
you don't really feel like you left anything, right?
No.
It's like,
No, it was, people that I grew up with, everyone was there. And I was like, God, this is...
I just left one thing to get to another.
Like, this is back home.
Right.
Like, I couldn't do anything because everyone was watching me. Sometimes I did things that I didn't know I had done them. So it's like, no, I don't like this. So when I got here, it was great.
Okay.
I liked it. It was different, very different. Here I realized, hey, I need to learn English.
Okay, so you still had not yet mastered English by that point. Okay.
Not
and how
at all.
old were you when you came here to Georgia?
At that point, I had just turned 16.
Wow. So all of this happened in the span of like a year. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So you get here, you figure out you have to learn English.
Yes.
What do you do?
I started listening to music.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so country music. That's always been my favorite. I didn't understand it, but I started learning.
Okay.
Started watching TV with
Country
subtitles.
music.
Country
Okay.
music.
Country. We're talking about country music, y'all. Okay. All right.
I started watching the subtitles. And I started
Okay.
learning to speak it, understand it, and actually write it too.
Okay.
So that's pretty much how I learned it.
Wow.
Like I never went to take a course,
or
nothing.
class.
Yeah,
or,
class, no,
okay.
nothing.
Got it.
That's how I learned. I started working at Wendy's, and that that was a huge help.
Okay. So you got here to Georgia. You're picking up the language by listening to music.
Yeah.
And you're now working at Wendy's. And so through this interaction that you're having with individuals at Wendy's and the music, you're getting yourself, you're learning the language. Okay.
And it sounds easy, but really,
it
was
no,
not.
no,
Like,
no.
wow.
Yes.
I used to think, okay, now I understand. And then I met Derek. And
Okay, so what were some of the challenges when you talk about learning and picking it up? Because we all, I have been through that process as well, but my process was a little bit different than yours. And so, what are some challenges within learning the language that you found you experienced?
I think the hardest thing was that I wanted to speak English the way that I speak Spanish, and everything is backwards.
It is. And then in Spanish, very similar to French, the words have pronouns in front of them, right? So and we call them articles. But so a chair is actually feminine right. So in English, you don't have that, so you're sitting here like, wait. There's a learning curve obviously involved there. Okay, and so you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is backwards.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything. So even the saying pollo loco in English is crazy chicken,
Right.
But to us, crazy goes at the end.
Right. Exactly.
So whenever I went to speak it, I wanted to speak it that way, and people would just be like, "What?"
And then it's like, do you feel like you had a little bit of I always say, I think faster than I can speak.
I still have that.
Okay.
And especially when I'm thinking in both languages.
Exactly.
My mouth cannot catch up.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep. Okay. So you're working at Wendy's. You're trying to pick up the nuances of the English language. And you're like 16, right? So what is the plan here? Like, where are we going? Where's Paloma going? What's the plan?
so from there, I was now living here in Kennesaw with another brother. So I wanted actually to start going to school.
Okay.
So that was my goal: go to school, high school, or to something. I wanted to learn, just learn, and I wanted to. Wendy's was amazing. My first job, I loved it, but I also knew that I wanted more. So I had this, thoughts, but I also knew that I had to take one day at a time, and Derek was there. So.
So Derek was there. Okay. And by the way, Derek D. Rigg, who was previously on the podcast, is Paloma's husband, for our listeners who do not know that. And so you and Derek, is it a PG-13 how you met story? Or can we talk about that? Or no? It depends. It depends on which part. It depends on which part we're going to pull from. Okay. So how did you meet Derek? Because I don't think he told us that when he came on a pod. Sir, withholding information. Okay.
He was the general manager.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
When I came to that interview, I had to have someone translate for me because
Okay.
I knew.
And he interviewed you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. We see what you did
Now,
there, Derek. We see what you did.
This is one thing that I'm going to say.
Okay.
I didn't even know he was the manager. Nothing. I'm sitting there waiting to be interviewed, and I just see this man walking towards my table, and I just said, I would do anything for that man.
What? Mm.
I
You heard
just,
that?
I
You heard that?
just seen him, and I said, wow,
Okay.
like
Okay.
that's a man that I want.
Okay.
He interviewed me. I had no idea how to interview. I was wearing jeans and a tank top. But he gave me that job.
He gave you a chance. Absolutely. Love it.
So, yeah, after that, I started working there, and I found out he was married.
Okay.
And I was just like, damn.
That's a shame. Sorry, I should not be putting words in your mouth. I am so sorry. Okay.
But, it was still, I would do anything for that man.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I let him know, too.
Oh, okay. She's
So-
very persistent.
Definitely. So every single day I came to work, the first thing he would do, this was his repellent to me. I'm married.
Wow. I love it. 2 cool points for Derek, okay? 2 cool points for you, sir, okay? But making sure. But we all know how that story ended. Anyway, so.
Hey, I have that man.
Okay. She has him now. Okay. So. All right, so you're working at Wendy's, and how long did you work at Wendy's?
I think it was 7 years.
Wow, that's a long, wow, that's a long time.
And that was actually between that time I went to work as
Okay.
a server at a Mexican restaurant. I went to work for a different Wendy's.
Okay.
And then came back.
Okay, so they were kind of, but the totality of your tenure there was about 7 years.
7 years.
So and so now, have you gone in that span amount of time? Did you take the opportunity to go back to school?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
So you're still kind of learning the language, picking it up as you go, as you're working. Okay.
Yeah, between that, I had a child. So that, I couldn't go back.
Right.
There was always something.
It was always something, yes.
Always something I couldn't go to school. And sometimes, to be honest, it was intimidating, so I didn't do it. I would say, okay, I will do it next month. And then next month there was something, so I wouldn't be able to do it. But definitely, when I got pregnant, I had to work 2 jobs.
Right.
That was actually when I came back to Wendy's after the Mexican restaurant. I went to work at day cleaners
Okay.
to save some money. And yeah, never went to school. Even now, I have been about to enroll, and then it's like, well, that doesn't sound like something I want to do. So I never went to
You
school.
never went back. Okay. All right. And so you become pregnant, and you. So at what point did you and Mr. Gatrell?
Yeah, so it was actually my daughter was 3 months old
Okay.
when we were working together again at Wendy's. He had to also come back to work at Wendy's, and hey, I was always saying I would do anything for this man.
You were like, I made my intentions very clear, sir. Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Always. So he asked me out, and I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Okay.
If it doesn't work out, I can still say, hey, I had
I
that
tried
man.
it. I tried it. Right. I had my yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we hung out, and then we never stopped hanging out.
So
So
this day.
yeah, it's gonna be 15 years.
15 years. Wow. That's amazing. Now, okay, so you and Derek get together. Is you being an immigrant, Derek being, here, What do you feel like were some of the dynamics of the relationships that stand out to you, right? Because you were from two different worlds, right? So how did you guys overcome those challenges? And what were some of the challenges? Was it language? Was it culture? Was it, mindset? What were some of those challenges?
I think that
What's bubbling, insiders? When was the last time you felt you could be still long enough to enjoy some much needed me time or have the flexibility to create more memories with your loved ones? Better yet, when have you felt like you didn't have to stress about a project deadline or getting something done around the house? You probably tell yourself all the time there just isn't enough time in a day. Besides our health, time is our most precious asset. Well, I know something that can help you get some of your time back. Inside the Bubble with Harley G is announcing its partnership with Bliss Virtual Services. They specialize in project based virtual support as well as ongoing support for in demand professionals, careerpreneurs, and busy parents. Go to my website, www.insidethebubblewithharleyg.com, subscribe to the mailing list. On Monday, July 10th, you will receive a link and unique code to access a private page on Bliss Virtual Services website. Once inside, you will be able to select from their various plans at a special rate only offered to insiders. So if you're not on my mailing list, go subscribe now.
I don't think that we had any challenges really. He is very understanding, and he has always been very mature, and we have always just been able to talk and understand where we are coming from. His family, though. My mother-in-law hated me.
Really?
And of course, I wasn't, like, okay.
Right. You were like, okay. So what were some of the things that caused conflict between you and your mother-in-law?
It is, I think my mouth, really.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, so, it's like, this is something that is also some culture. You just say what you are thinking.
You're just very blunt.
Yes, especially to women. Now, of course, I was taught not to do that with men, but I didn't care. So I'm like, but I didn't know, and this is something I legit didn't know, that I couldn't just tell somebody, if they didn't look good, I couldn't just go and tell them, hey, you don't, like, that dress don't look good on you.
Oh.
So, because that would be something that growing up,
you were always able to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it wasn't taken any offensively.
No.
I guess I want to say.
like,
Okay.
not offensive at all. If someone saw I put on a couple of pounds and they told me, and it would just be like, oh, I know.
Okay. Got it.
Here is different.
It's different.
It is very offensive. It is hurtful. And I didn't know that.
You didn't understand that.
I would be so confused to.
So you'd have conversation with her and you'd say something, in observing something. Oh, I'm just going to throw something out there for scenario's sake. Like, she gained 10 pounds, right? So you would have a conversation with her and you'd say.
Yeah. I think especially if she was talking about something, she had conflict with someone else. And when someone is telling you, I have found out they want them to you to agree with them, and I don't. I'm like, whoa, but that sounds like your fault.
Oh, okay.
So it was one of those things.
Okay, all right.
There were other things as well, like I think she said one of my friends had told her that I was with Derek because I wanted him to give me my papers, which is a huge thing, of course.
Wow.
I was an illegal immigrant.
Right.
So that was
So she was saying that that was one of the reasons why you were with him, was just so you could have legal status.
Yes.
Got it.
And instead of me saying, hey, I love your son, I said, yes, that's why.
Oh, okay.
Like, because, you know, like, I'm not going to go.
I don't have to justify myself to you.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
so those were, but yeah, those were some of the things that, you know, I found out that those were some of the differences. Derek has helped me a lot to understand those things. Like, hey, like, you shouldn't have said that. And I'm like, oh, what did I say?
Right, right.
But-
Understanding those those nuances to relationship. Okay. So how is your relationship with your mother-in-law now?
It's really great.
Okay.
She has learned to know me.
Okay.
So I don't think she takes offense to what I say anymore.
15 years later, she's like, I finally get this chick. Oh my gosh. Ah.
No, I love her. Yeah, she's great.
Okay.
But it took us a while. Took us a while, but
And do you find one of the things that's very interesting to me, because I'm kind of in the same boat here, but being in a interracial marriage, what are the things that you felt like you've been, as a result of you being in interracial marriage, you have experienced from other people, from outsiders looking into your relationship?
that's actually it. And this is something that I always remember, Ryan, because it's one of those things. So now Derek has a daughter. I raised her. So she calls me mom. She's my baby. So every time, you know, Derek was working, so I would take care of her. I would take her to doctor's appointments, everything. I had been taking her to the same doctor for years. And one day I get there and they are telling me they need to speak to her dad.
Okay.
So I'm like, why? You know, like, what's going on? I'm thinking, okay, there's something wrong. Of course, this girl, she's blonde, blue eyes.
Yeah,
you can definitely.
if you see her, you're like,
So they want to ask him permission for me to make sure that he's okay with me being there with my child.
And this is somebody that this is a place that you have been taking her for like years.
For 3 years
Okay.
at that point.
So they've seen you before. It's not like.
And I still take my other child there. Of course, if you see my other kid, she...
Meaning me. Okay.
But yeah, so they... we spent like 3 hours there because Derek couldn't answer the phone. Then finally they got him on the phone, and it was a big deal. He had to sign papers, give permission for me to take her.
And at that point, were you guys married?
Yeah, we were married.
Okay.
And
Wow.
yeah, so since they couldn't contact him, they were trying to contact her mama because they were like, well, you know, we need a parent. I am a parent.
Yes.
Like, I am her mother.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're the stepmother. So that was a, you know, huge deal. Now, it was like the following week. Derek takes my other child, which we're talking about. Derek is also blonde. You know, my kid looks just like me.
Right.
He takes her, and there is
No problem.
absolutely
No issues.
I was not there. I was not contacted. I never had to sign any paperwork for him to be able to take my child there. So those are...
Right. Wow. Okay. Now, that's, oh my gosh. Okay. Thinking along the same lines, what are some things that you have experienced as a result of you being Mexican? Because of your culture, you felt like you've experienced those things.
I don't think that I can really think of anything because people don't stare as much anymore. But 15 years ago, it was always
It
something
wasn't,
that.
and I don't even want to say that it wasn't common then because it was, right? But it's like, I don't know. Like, yeah, it, nowadays it's like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
and now
right,
it's
right, it's
more,
different.
but
More
before,
accepted.
yeah, it,
Yeah.
yeah, it was every single time that we
We go
went
out.
out, Walmart, and people would just break their necks staring. But yeah, I don't think that I can really think about something that we experienced.
Okay.
We got those comments all the time about, oh, you must be with them for the papers. And, well, to me, it was always like, yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Like, I never felt I need to.
Right. Justify my relationship with myself or what I'm doing. Right. That is great. So this quick little story, but when my husband and I started dating, one of our first date was to Applebee's. Listen, I know y'all judging me, but anyway, we went to Applebee's, and it was actually in the middle of the finals, the NBA finals, and he was going at the time. I was going for the Spurs. Was it the Spurs? Is that what it? Okay, I was going for some California team, and he was going for Detroit. Detroit was actually in the NBA finals at that time. So this was like 2004, 2004. So look it up. Whoever was in the finals, we were going for like opposite teams. And we were like, oh, we're gonna go to Applebee's. We're gonna get something to eat. We're gonna sit like somewhere around the bar, and we'll watch the finals. So we're sitting there watching the finals, and we were at a round top table, and the way we sat, it was almost kind of like my back was on the more on the aisle, and he was kind of in the inside of the table. So I'm sitting there, and we're sitting talking, whatever. The waitress comes by, and she just gives us this look, right? I happen to catch the look. My husband says he didn't see it or whatever. And she gives this look kind of like, how do I explain this look? Kind of like, what are these two doing together? Right? And I'm like, okay. I was like, you know what? Don't be paranoid. I was just like, okay, whatever. So she walks by again. No, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Let me do over. My husband's back was a little more to the aisle, and I was in the inside, right? So she walks by the second time, and she actually bumps into him. Right? She's like, and I was like, and so now I was like, okay. So she walked by one time, and she gave this weird look. She walks by again, and she accidentally bumps into you, and then I see her again, and she's kind of like having this conversation with another coworker. And so I was just like, I said, you know what? Switch places with me. And he was like, what? I said, switch places with me. I want to sit in the aisle, and I want to see if she's going to accidentally bump into me. He switched, well, he didn't have a choice, but he switched places with me. Oh, and she did not, hold and behold, she didn't accidentally bump into me. And I was just like, I was just like, wow, it's interesting how, people live in their world and they have their own perception and and they're entitled to it. But I was just like, that was actually my first time that I felt like I had experienced something that spoke to me being in a relationship with somebody that wasn't of my own culture. And I just thought, like, wow, I can't believe this was 2004, and people were still wrestling with that. That was just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I think that I was actually a waitress at Los Reyes Mexican restaurant, and I was having this great conversation with a customer, and we are talking about he was actually asking me about my family and everything. So we were talking, and so he assumed that I was married to a Mexican
Okay.
person. So when I told him no, like I'm not married to a Mexican person, so then oh, you are the type that marries out of your own race. So like yeah, I know. I'm like the type that if someone makes a comment like that, I'm going to just be very ironic, and so I'm like, yeah, you know what? I married a white man.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So he also asked me, "You are not one of those illegal immigrants, are you?"
Oh,
And I'm like,
wow.
yes, yeah, I jumped the border and everything. One, it was the truth. Two, of course I had to tell him.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like that's. But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of times when people would definitely ask that and just make comments, like even people, even my own family.
I was gonna get into that next because we talked about just the dynamic of the relationship between you and your mother-in-law when you guys first met. But how was it on your side of, your family now seeing that, hey, I didn't marry a Mexican. I married somebody outside of my culture. So how did they respond to that?
They had a hard time when I first told them that I was dating him. They stopped talking to me for about 6 months.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, they stopped talking to me because they didn't think it was the norm. And what my mother explained was that she already thought I didn't want to ever go back there. So
Back there to Mexico.
Yeah. So she thought that she would never get to see me again because I would have no reason to go back.
Got it.
So once
So she was just fearful of never seeing you again, really. Okay.
But she didn't say that first.
right.
Like her first reaction was no. What do you mean no? Like I'm already.
Yeah, I'm already doing this.
We had already moved in together.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, that was their reaction. She did say to forget that I had a mother, so I said okay.
Wow.
Okay, that's fine. So we hung up, and I never called them because of that. So until she called me to talk, and then she explained it like that. So I was like, well, like if I didn't have a reason, to go, you are giving me less of a reason. Like she told me to forget that I had a mother, and that had not been the first time. So.
And then what about your father? And how's your relationship with him? And what did he think, once he found out that you didn't marry somebody that's Mexican?
He actually said that he had come to accept that I was going to do what I was going to do.
It's like, listen, that Paloma.
So yeah, that was. He said, you're going to do what you're going to do. And the more someone says, no, don't do it, the more you're going to, go and do it. So
I'm just going to let you be. It works best in our interest that way.
What was very different to me was that my brother, the one that was living in California when I first came, he actually gave me a talk, but it wasn't anything like what I was expecting it to be. He actually told me that I better not be using this man. He said he has seen it multiple times where a girl went to find someone, and once they had fixed
What
their
they
status,
needed,
then
right.
So I thought that was a very different, and I actually appreciated him for it because I told him no, like you know,
This
I'm
is not
just,
what this is about.
yeah, like
Right.
I just wanted him forever. So if I don't have him,
Right. She's like, listen, okay, I went through a lot to get this man. All
I
right.
had to wait a long time.
Yeah. Okay. That is really cool for your brother to have that conversation with you. And so how's your relationship with him versus the brother that's here? Like, is that brother that you moved in here that's in? He's still here?
No,
He's not.
no,
Okay.
he is back in Mexico,
Oh, okay.
and I don't talk to him at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's trying to talk to me. I have no interest in talking to him. The one in California, we talk. He is actually really good at giving me advice. So, and he's one that I believe the only sibling that if I had any trouble and issues, I can call him and he'll be there. I don't ever do it, but I know
okay.
he's there.
But to know that you have that
Yeah.
person that you can rely on is amazing.
Yeah.
So what happened with the brother here?
He, as soon as I got here and started living with him, his approach to having a teenage sibling in the house was to, I guess, to protect me. So he wanted me to literally be locked in a room. I went to work with him. We were actually cleaning houses. So once we got to the house, I had to be in the room. So I couldn't come out at night. He would lock the door because he was afraid that I would, I don't know what I was going to do. I had put on also a few pounds, and well, I was like I am now, right? Like, so to him that was a very big, and he would remind me every day. He would control my food, so it was, yeah, it was very.
Where did that come from? Was it him just wanting to have that sense of control? Was it him being? This is how his protective instinct comes out, or?
To be honest, I never knew.
Okay.
And at one point, I believed everything he said. So I started to, every time that I ate, I would just
kind of conform.
It was like I knew I'm eating. I would see myself actually gain a couple of pounds. So then I would get sick because I would feel that weight on me. And so I was bulimic because of that.
Okay.
So it took me a long time to realize what had happened.
Okay.
And I tried to talk to him, but it was as well, you know, you were fat. So that's when I said, okay, we won't.
So how did you? Wow, that's kind of heavy. You know, that's you know, thank you for sharing that with us because some people probably wouldn't feel comfortable sharing that. So how did you get through that?
It was actually when I got pregnant.
Wow. What? And how long was that period?
That was almost 3 years.
3 years. Okay, so
Yes.
3 years of struggling with the food, with the weight,
Yes.
being bulimic, and then you get pregnant, and then at that point, what happens?
So at that point, I was just, you know, like I'm pregnant. I have to eat, and I started seeing myself as beautiful. I think I have never felt more comfortable in my own body than when I was pregnant.
Wow.
So
love
I
it.
ate. I was never looking at myself like, oh, I'm gaining. You know, it was okay. It was just perfect.
Do you feel like at that point you gave yourself permission to just be, Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, it was great. sometimes I would still feel the need to go and be sick, but then I would just no, like I'm
Like,
pregnant.
yeah.
Like there's someone here that needs me.
That needs you.
So that's actually
How you overcame
Yeah.
it. Wow. And then after you had the baby, you didn't go back.
no.
Okay.
No, after that, it was, yeah, it was kind of, it has always been this, well, there is someone that needs me. So, yeah.
Wow. So your little girl just kind of got you through it, unbeknownst to her.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful. Wow. Okay. And so I just want to fast forward a little bit. So you meet Derek, you guys have children, and at that point, as far as like career goals and aspirations, what is that? What is that for Paloma?
Yeah, that's, sometimes I still feel like I'm still figuring it out.
Uh-huh. Which is fine. It's a journey. Listen.
Yes, but working in fast food, just the food industry, I wanted to get on the other side, different industries. So I did go to work in retail. So I went to work for Sprint, started as a representative, then went to assistant manager, then a store manager. Derek was working for Gas South, so I had been around Gas South forever, and I also knew that was completely different than retail, so I always wanted to start, and so finally I got the chance to start and be a leader. That I wanted to know what it was like to be a leader. So,
but you had gained some of that experience working through Sprint, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had been assistant manager and then a manager, so I had to manage the whole store,
Right.
And everything. It's completely different.
Yeah.
It's very different. But yeah, it's great being a leader. So right now, though, I think that my goal is to be a writer and author.
What? Such. Wow. What? Tell our listeners, like, why that goal and aspiration?
I have always been a nerd.
Okay.
And
we'll take that.
It sounds, like people would say, "Oh my God!" Like no, like actually, I take pride on that because I have learned so much from books. A lot, everything, that I know. So I like to sometimes disconnect and live in my own world.
Yeah.
Books are perfect for that.
They are.
Different world every single time.
Yeah.
And I'm also very creative. I can make some stories.
So what's your favorite genre of books?
I would say it's fiction.
Fiction.
Yeah, fiction.
Mystery. What is it? Romance. Listen,
Romance.
I was all up into the Harli. Yes, you're about to judge me. Harlequin books were my faves. My favorite author was Joanna Lindsay. She passed away a few years ago, but she was a romance novelist. So yes, I was all about the romance novels.
Well, I still
are?
read Harlequin.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. I kept them for a long time, and then finally my husband was like, "Okay, chick, okay, you got a real life romance over here. I need you to get rid of these." He didn't say that, but anyway, he probably thought it.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I have books and books.
Yeah.
All over. I think Derek is tired of them, and because I have some boxes here and there, and then he's just like, like there's, but yeah. So if everything goes as planned, my goal is to have my book finished by the end of this month.
Wow. Okay. So you're gonna have to come back, of course, on a pod. We have many repeat offenders, by the way, but you're gonna have to come back on a pod and tell us about your book, all about it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is fantastic. And do you feel like this is perfect segue? Watch how I do this, y'all. Watch and listen how I do this. Do you feel like that is your purpose?
Yes. Yes, that is exactly. I have gone back to even growing up, feeling that I didn't belong. I was an alien. I was called an alien. I was called a witch. I was called a lot of things because I didn't belong. So I felt that I had no purpose. Coming, here, all the experiences that I have had, and I still felt like I had no purpose. Finally, my family, the family that I created, that that is amazing. That was my goal.
Yeah.
But in a professional
Setting.
point, that is what I want to be. I have been writing for years and years, and just really never finished any books. And to be honest, I never really wanted anyone to read what I was writing.
Why?
I don't know. I just felt like it's not good enough. People are not gonna like it. But I have, that is what I want to do. I feel good when I'm writing. I feel good when I'm reading. That's what I want to do.
I love it. Look at that. Look at how we just ended up really bringing the purpose into light. So I love it. So looking forward to how we get to experience you as an author. I can't wait to read the book. I love it. I wonder if it's going to be a story very similar. I wonder if the characters' names are going to be like Maria and like Daryl.
It is actually
Different spin on the names.
It is actually going to be more like Genesis and Dante.
Whoa! Wow! Is Fabio going to be like the posing model on the top? On the top of the book. Listen, I love me some Fabio. Okay, he old now, but Fabio back in the day, y'all. Look it up. Look it up. Fabio, model. Anyway, tell me thank you later. Anyway, so that's it. I know exactly. He had the long hair blowing in the wind. Anyway, okay, I digress. That is amazing for just really kind of finding, what really brings you joy and your passion and saying, you know what, this is going to be my purpose and I'm going to pursue it. So I am genuinely looking forward to supporting you and then definitely bring you back on the pod to talk about your book.
Awesome.
Yeah, you could be part of the promo tour. Yeah, perfect. And I can say I knew her, and she announced it here on a pod, so remember that, okay? That's amazing. Well, this is crazy because we are at the end of our show, of our episode. Thank you so much for sharing your story. There are just so much in there that I feel our listeners will be able to really understand and realize that in this journey called life, you go through so many different experiences, and sometimes we think nobody's going to be able to understand this. Nobody's going to be able to relate to this. I'm going through this and I'm going through this alone, and how could somebody possibly, identify with what I'm going through? Yeah. And you talking about your journey here into the United States, you talking about the criticism and some of the things that individuals expressed as you were in your relationship with your husband, and you talking about the relationship that you had with food, which I think is so, we're going to unpack that in a whole different episode, but because you're not the only person who goes through that, and for you to be able to be open enough and vulnerable enough to share that story and let our listeners know, listen, if you're going through this, it's okay. You can come out of it, and we're here to support you. We're here to help you. Find somebody that will listen. There is that one person, even if it's just one person in your life, that'll be able to listen, that'll be able to support you. Find that person and talk to them. And then and one step at a time, right? So, because it's very intimidating when you're like, oh my gosh, but just one step at a time. Yeah.
One of the things that I kept repeating to myself is just give yourself permission to be yourself, to fail, and then to continue.
Yes, so important. That's right there. We're going to have to quote that. Best quote ever. Give yourself permission to be yourself. Absolutely. Love it. Yes. Well, thank you, Paloma, for coming on the pod and sharing your story. I love it. Like I actually had never heard the whole story, so I'm glad you were able to share that with us, with me and our listeners today. We are dropping episodes on Mondays, you guys. So make sure that you tune in and you hear these amazing stories like Paloma that you heard today. We are on Instagram, Inside the Bubble HG. We're on Facebook. Like, share, and drop a review. Whatever platform you're listening to, you're catching the episode on, whether it's Spotify, Apple, YouTube, drop a review and let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. Okay? And you know what I always say, there's purpose in your story. Until next time. I hope you enjoyed our show today. Hit the subscribe button and share. Share this pod with your family, with your friends, with your girlfriends, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Inside the Bubble with HG. Keep the conversation going. Drop us a heart emoji, engage with us. We would love to hear from you. New episodes are dropping every Monday on your podcast streaming platforms. And remember, there's purpose in your story.